Okay, welcome dear friends. Am I audible? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kamlesh, Pranav, Sushant, Saurabh, Parikshit. Uh, the plan of the lecture is twofold. One is to continue our discussion with the Rankine cycle, and second is to deal with the boiler analysis. Okay. So, if you let me share this screen with you. Okay. Yeah. So, I have written something on the screen. Right. So what is written on the screen? What is written on the screen? Right, Pranav. So we talked about the theoretical cycle of the power plant. What is the theoretical cycle of the power plant? What is the thermodynamic cycle of the power plant? The theoretical cycle of the power plant is the Rankine cycle. Okay, and in order to improve the efficiency of the, let us say, coal-based power plant, you need to design the power plant such that you obtain maximum conversion of heat to work. Okay. So you need to improve the Rankine cycle efficiency. So what I listed is there are three methods. There are more than three actually, but for the present purposes and at your level of understanding, I would be discussing only three methods of improving the efficiency. In the higher classes, you would be studying few more methods. But for the present discussion, we would be discussing the three methods of improving the efficiency of the Rankine cycle. Okay. So as you see on the board, I have listed the three. One way of basically we had discussed the concept of mean temperature of heat addition. What is the concept of mean temperature of heat addition? In the last lecture, I discussed the concept of mean temperature of heat addition. So what is that concept of mean temperature of heat addition? Anybody? What is the concept of mean temperature of heat addition? Temperature less than saturation. No. That is not the case, Pranav. Mean temperature of heat addition is the equivalent temperature. See, in the actual Rankine cycle, the temperature would vary, right? In the actual Rankine cycle, the temperature would vary. If you want to represent the cycle with a constant temperature, then we cannot choose any constant temperature. It has to be a constant temperature which is representative of the varying temperatures. Where is the temperature varying in the Rankine cycle during heat addition? You know that during heat addition in the Rankine cycle, the temperature of the water would first increase up to the boiling point, then the water would boil, and then it would superheat, right? The steam would superheat, right? So this changes the changing temperature during the heat addition. If you want to represent it by an equivalent constant temperature, that equivalent constant temperature is called as the mean temperature of heat addition, meaning that if you choose instead of the varying temperature, if you draw the cycle with the mean temperature of heat addition, then it would be a constant temperature line such that the area under that constant temperature line would be the same as on the temperature entropy diagram. Obviously, on the temperature entropy diagram, the area under the constant temperature line or mean temperature line would be the same as the temperature, the area under the varying temperature line. That is the idea of mean temperature of heat addition. It means that, in short, in one sentence, if we want to define what is the mean temperature of heat addition, it is a representative temperature which is going to give you the same heat addition as that in the original cycle. Original cycle means the original Rankine cycle where the temperature is actually varying during the heat addition. I guess that you have followed this, the mean temperature. Is it followed? The mean temperature concept? Okay, so Pranav has followed this. So if you want to increase the efficiency of the power plant, then it can be shown that we can improve the efficiency of the power plant by increasing the mean temperature of heat addition. Okay, that is the temperature at which the heat is being added. If you can increase it by some way, okay, then you can show that this is going to have a positive effect on the efficiency. It means that the efficiency would increase. So all these three methods which are written, of the three methods, the method 1 and method 2 would directly, you can say that it is going to increase the mean temperature of heat addition. T mean would increase because of these two methods. Okay, how is that going to happen? Let us discuss this a bit. So if you go to the next slide, let me go to the next slide. Before going to the next slide, again register in your mind that there are three methods of improving efficiency. One is to increase the boiler pressure, other is to superheat the steam, and third is to decrease the condenser pressure. Okay, now I have shown you a diagram which is a method of increasing the boiler efficiency. So one method is increasing the boiler pressure. So earlier, let us say that previously the cycle was 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. Okay, so the one which is shown by black pen, this is, let us say, the original Rankine cycle. Okay, now with the increase in, if you increase the boiler pressure, let us say from earlier the boiler pressure is P1 is equal to P2, that was the boiler pressure, right? Now the new cycle where you are improving, if you want to increase the boiler pressure to say P1 dash, which is equal to P2 dash. So I have drawn that cycle with the blue pen. Okay, is this clear? The new cycle which I have drawn, the new cycle which I have drawn here, is it visible to you, and whether you understood this? Okay, so what do you find? What do you find by looking at the diagram? Compare this two. Compare the cycle 1, 2, 3, 4 with 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, and 4. If you look at this cycle on a temperature entropy diagram, the cycle 1, 2, 3, 4 is the Rankine cycle where the boiler pressure is P1 is equal to P2, and the one which is shown by blue pen, 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4, that is a Rankine cycle with the increased boiler pressure. Okay, so how do you compare the two? What do you find from the two? What do you find from the boiler pressure is high? That is correct, Pranav. Apart from that, what do you find? What you will find is that the mean temperature of heat addition would increase. Okay, the mean temperature of heat addition would increase. Mean temperature of heat addition would increase by, T mean would increase by increasing the boiler pressure. It means that in the latter case, the heat addition in the boiler is at a higher temperature as compared to the basic case. Okay, by increasing the boiler pressure, what you are achieving is you are achieving the heat addition at much higher temperature as compared to the previous case. And because the efficiency of the Rankine cycle is a function of mean temperature of heat addition, okay, so this change, if you are increasing the boiler pressure, the boiler efficiency, the Rankine cycle efficiency would increase. So this is having that is the reason why if you look at the market, you will find that in the market you'll always find that power plants would have a higher boiler pressure. Okay, if you look for the pressure at which the steam is generated in the power plants, so you'll find that the power plants, the boiler pressure is significantly high. Okay, the reason being by increasing the boiler pressure, one can increase the conversion efficiency, heat to work efficiency, that is a Rankine cycle efficiency. So that is an advantage. One disadvantage you see, look at the point 3 and 3 dash and think about the disadvantage. Look at the point 3 and 3 dash and look at the disadvantage. Kamlesh, compare the state 3 and 3 dash and look at the disadvantage. No. I'm not talking about entropy. I'm talking about the dryness fraction. Kunal, Kamlesh. Yeah, correct, Sharvari. So what happens is that if you go for increasing higher pressure, if you go for increasing the higher pressure by keeping the maximum temperature in the cycle constant. Okay, what I have done is that if you look at the diagram which I have drawn, what I kept is the T2 is equal to 2 dash. T2 is equal to T2 dash is the maximum temperature which I kept as a constant. Okay, so for a given maximum temperature, if I increase, means for the given turbine inlet temperature, if I increase the boiler pressure, then the steam becomes more weight at the exit of the turbine. And if the steam becomes more weight at the exit of the turbine, it becomes very difficult to handle the wet steam in the turbine. Okay, so the desirable thing is that this 3 dash has to be closer to this vapor dome. Okay, so by simply increasing the boiler pressure, though we achieve increasing the mean temperature, okay, but that mean temperature is constrained, okay, or that maximum temperature is constrained by the dryness fraction at the exit of the turbine. Okay, so we need to ensure that along with the increasing boiler pressure, we should also ensure that the steam should be sufficiently dry and closer to the vapor dome. Okay, so what is done in practice is that you not only increase the boiler pressure, but you also increase the degree of superheat. Okay, so what you do is that you increase the superheating. So this was earlier 2 dash, now you go to 2 double dash. Okay, so what has happened now is I have increased the boiler pressure, right, and I have increased the boiler pressure and I have also increased the degree of superheating. So the superheating earlier was only up to T2 dash, right? So this is superheating. This is saturation temperature. This is superheated temperature. So earlier it was only up to T2 dash. Now if I increase the degree of superheat up to 2 double dash, then what you will get is that you will get the steam which is sufficiently dry at the exit of the turbine. Is this clear? Is this clear what is done? So two methods. One is to increase the boiler pressure and second is to increase the degree of superheat, or by superheating of the steam, one can increase the mean temperature of heat addition, one can increase the Rankine cycle efficiency. Is this point very clear? Let me repeat this. How do you increase the boiler efficiency? One is you increase the boiler pressure. By increasing the boiler pressure, your mean temperature of heat addition increases. The second thing is that you increase the superheating, degree of superheat, right? By degree of superheat, I mean the temperature difference between the temperature of the superheated steam and the corresponding saturation temperature. Okay, that is called as the degree of superheat. So if I increase the degree of superheat, then the mean temperature of heat addition increases and simultaneously the steam remains sufficiently dry at the exit of the turbine. Okay, so this is an interesting method of increase, and that is the reason why if you go and visit a power plant factory, a power plant unit, right, and if you look for the boiler pressure and the superheated steam temperatures, you'll always find that the boiler pressures are high and you'll always find that the steam is superheated and sufficiently superheated. Okay, right? So that ensures two things. One is it would increase the mean temperature of heat addition and increase the Rankine cycle efficiency. And second thing is that it would ensure that the steam is sufficiently dry at the exit of the turbine. Okay. The third method is of decreasing the condenser pressure. Okay. So I discussed two methods. The third method is by decreasing the condenser pressure. So let me just draw the diagram where one can think of decreasing the condenser pressure. So let us construct first the basic cycle. So let us say this is a basic cycle wherein say this is your 1, this is your 2, this is your 3, and this is your 4. Okay. Now what you do is that by increasing the degree, by decreasing the condenser pressure, we'll find a new diagram. So this is, let us say, the new diagram where this is 3 dash and this is 4 dash. Okay. So earlier, let us say the condenser pressure was PC, and now the condenser pressure is reduced to PC dash. Okay. So what happens because of this is that when you are decreasing the condenser pressure, what you see is that the turbine work would increase because delta H across the turbine would increase, right? The turbine work would increase, and it is clear from the area enclosed. See, area 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3 dash 4 dash is greater than the area 1, 2, 3, 4. The meaning is because of decreasing the condenser pressure, the net work output of the power plant would increase for the given heat supply. For the power plant would increase. Okay. And if the net work output increases, you know that efficiency of the Rankine cycle is net work output upon the heat supply. Heat supply remains the same. If your net work output increases, the efficiency is bound to increase, right? So by decreasing the condenser pressure, one can improve the efficiency of the power plant. Okay, is this clear? Whether all these three methods are clear? Method 1, increasing the boiler pressure. Method 2, increasing the degree of superheat, and method 3, decreasing the condenser pressure. All these three methods would increase the mean temperature of heat addition. First would increase the mean temperature of heat addition, and the third would increase the net output, and all these three methods would increase the efficiency of the Rankine cycle. Okay, is this point understood? Hopefully it is clear to all. Okay, Pranav is saying yes. Okay, Kanksha, Kunal, Sushant, all are saying yes. So let me now just announce that the vapor power cycles topic is over, right? And I will just go to the last analytical topic. Theory of boilers have been explained to you by Professor Pillai, right? And what was left was the analysis of boiler. Okay. So I plan to now start with the analysis of a boiler. Hopefully I would be able to cover today. If not today, we would continue with this in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay. So let us discuss what is boiler analysis, steam generator analysis. Okay. So for that, I would like to start with an interesting poll question. Okay. If you are given false as an option, please write your names in the questions column. Those who feel that it is false, please write your names. Those who answered that it is false, please write your names. Kaital is saying true, but I want the students' names who have said that it is false. Not the ones who say it is true. Okay, Sridhar Kata is saying it is false. Ganesh Shikre is saying it is false. Tejas is saying it is false. Okay, let me stop this poll and let me just tell you the answer. I'm sharing the results and the answer is it is false. The answer is it is false. What is the question? Boiler efficiency is 100% means this violates the second law of thermodynamics. The answer is false because for a simple reason. I hope Ganesh and Sridhar I understood this. What is the reason why Ganesh you have written it is false? Why Tejas you have written it is false? Ganesh, Sridhar, Tejas you have written it is false. So why you are saying that it is false? See, for the simple reason that when we talk about the second law of thermodynamics, we are talking about the constraint of, okay, we are talking about the constraint of converting the heat to work. Okay. In this case, when you are talking about boiler, we are not talking about the heat to work conversion. So boilers are not constrained by the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics would not say that we cannot have a boiler whose efficiency is 100%. Okay, what does the second law says? Second law says that we cannot have an engine whose efficiency is 100%. That is, we cannot convert the heat to work. Okay, so theoretically speaking, one can have a boiler whose efficiency is 100%. That is perfectly possible because there is no thermodynamic constraint. There is no thermodynamic constraint of having a boiler of efficiency 100%. Is this clear? So boilers can have an efficiency of 100%. However, if I ask you the question that whether a power plant, a thermal power plant can have an efficiency of 100%, then the answer is no. Because why that is no? Because the power plant is a heat engine and heat engine is constrained by the second law of thermodynamics, which says that any heat engine while operating on a thermodynamic cycle cannot have an efficiency of 100%. Okay. Second law does not say that boilers cannot have an efficiency of 100%. Is this clear? I hope it is clear to you now. Okay, so the answer is false, and that you have to appreciate that boiler is not a heat engine. Okay, and we can theoretically design boilers whose efficiency is 100%. Okay. So now with this introduction, let me go to the boiler analysis topic. So let me write down the expression for a boiler efficiency. Okay. So whether the boiler is an open system or closed system, whether the boiler is an open system or closed system. Kunal is saying it is a closed system. Pranav is saying it is an open system. Deepak is saying it is a closed system. Ganesh is saying it is an open system. Kamlesh is saying it is a closed system. Rushali is saying it is an open system. Akanksha is saying closed system. Atul is saying open system. Neha is saying it is an open system. Tejas is saying it is closed. So you see now that there are a lot of opinions, right? Those who have said it is an open system, they are right. Chaitali, Aditya, and all. So it is an open system for the simple reason. Please register in your mind that when you are talking about an open system, what it means is that the water, there is a flow of mass in and out of the system. If there is a flow of mass in and out of the system, it becomes an open system. So obviously, in the boiler, water flows in and steam comes out. So mass flows in, mass flows out of the system, right? Hence, boiler is a open system. Now, in terms of output, in terms of energy, okay, what is the energy output of the boiler? What is the energy output of the boiler, or what is the desired effect? Desired effect of the boiler. What does the boiler do in terms of energy? What does the boiler do in terms of energy? Patan, Chaitali, Atul. In terms of energy, Pranav. Patan, Chaitali, Pranav. Okay, Ganesh is saying high temperature steam with high pressure. Okay. So what does a boiler do in terms of energy means the output of the boiler is the net enthalpy added. The net enthalpy added to water as it converts to steam. Whether it is clear? This is the output of the boiler. Is this clear or no? What is the output of the boiler? It is the net enthalpy which is added. Okay, net enthalpy which is added to convert the water to steam. It means that the water would be at some enthalpy HF, and suppose the boiler is producing superheated steam, then it becomes H superheated, right? So the net enthalpy added would be m dot steam, let us say this is the mass flow rate of the steam, into H superheated minus HF. Is this clear? Is this clear or not clear? Deepak, is this clear? Screen is not visible, Kamlesh? Okay, just a minute. Okay. Let me, sorry for that. Let me hide the screen. Let me hide the poll. I forgot to hide the poll. Thank you, Kamlesh, for pointing this out. Let me now share the screen. Now it is seen, no? Akanksha, now it is seen? Okay. Sorry for that. So what you see is I had drawn the boiler. I had drawn the boiler here. Okay. And it is an open system because water enters this boiler and steam comes out of the boiler. So the output of the boiler is the net enthalpy added to the water as it gets converted to steam. So the net output of the boiler is m dot s into enthalpy superheated minus enthalpy of the feed water. Okay, feed water. What if the steam is wet steam? Instead of the boiler generating superheated steam, if the boiler generates wet steam, then how would this change? How would this output change? Then the output would be, if it is generating wet steam, then the output would be m dot s enthalpy of wet steam minus enthalpy of feed water. right? If the boiler is generating wet steam. If the boiler is generating dry saturated steam, if the boiler is generating dry saturated steam, then the output of the boiler is m dot s into h of g, which is enthalpy of dry saturated steam, h of g minus h of f. Is this clear? H of g minus h of f. Is this clear or no? Right? If it is clear, from the steam tables now, you just tell me if the boiler is at 100 bar and if the steam is dry saturated, and let us say that the feed water is entering at 80 degrees centigrade, calculate the boiler output. From the steam tables, steam is at 100 bar, the steam is dry saturated, and the feed water entering the boiler is at 80 degrees centigrade. Calculate the boiler output. Calculate and tell me the answer. So I already written it on the board. The boiler output would be what? Because mass flow rate is not given, so we'll take it as 1 kg per second. For every kg per second, the boiler output would be 2724.7 minus 334.9 into 1, that many kilojoules per second. Okay, is this clear? Is clear or not clear? Whether this is clear, yes or no? Whatever I have written on the board, is this clear? Okay, so Chaitali has understood this. Nikhil Pardesh is saying yes, right? Now, let me go back to the input. Now, what is the input to this boiler? What is the input to this boiler? So, the input to this boiler, okay, input to this boiler is the heat which is being supplied. The input to this boiler is the heat which is being supplied, and that heat comes from the combustion of fuel. So, fuel consumption rate into the calorific value of the fuel is the input to the boiler. Is this clear? Rushali, I am talking in terms of energy. Okay, so the input to the boiler is energy which is supplied to the boiler. And how do you supply energy to the boiler? We supply energy to the boiler by burning the fuel. If it is a coal fired boiler, you are burning the coal. If it is a furnace oil fired boiler, you are burning the FO, right? And that combustion process, which is the exothermic reaction, will yield the energy which is being supplied to the boiler. Okay. So the energy which is supplied to the boiler is calculated as fuel consumption rate into its calorific value, right? And hence the efficiency of the boiler is calculated as boiler output, which is ms upon into h of steam minus h of feed water upon the fuel consumption into the calorific value. This is an expression for calculating the boiler efficiency. Is this understood? Yes or no? This is the expression for calculating the boiler efficiency. I hope that is clear to you. Okay. So Akanksha has said that she has understood this. Right? It's very simple. Okay. Thanks, Rushali. Nikhil, all that. So boiler efficiency is, the formula becomes boiler output, which is ms into h of steam minus h of feed water, and input is mf into cv, right? So this is an important expression for analysis of boiler. Okay. I hope it is clear to you. The second important concept in your boiler analysis is called as equivalent evaporation. Okay. It is called as equivalent evaporation. So what is this equivalent evaporation? Let me explain you. I'm going to explain you a concept called as equivalent evaporation. What should be the unit of this according to you? Just think over it. I have written this equivalent evaporation rate or equivalent evaporation. So what according to you should be the unit of this? Look at the words which I have written and tell me what could be the unit of this. I'm going to discuss this concept of equivalent evaporation, but I want you to figure out what is the unit of this term. Nobody knows? Evaporation rate means you are talking about how much steam is being evaporated, right? So it would be taking the unit of kgs per second, right? It would be taking the unit of kgs per second or kg per kg of fuel. Okay, kgs of steam. Okay, kgs of steam or kgs per kg of fuel burn. This is the unit of equivalent evaporation. Is this clear now? What is the unit? We are talking about evaporation. Evaporation of what? We are talking about evaporation of steam. We are talking about evaporation of steam. Okay. So the unit is either kgs of steam generated per second, or it is kgs of steam generated by burning 1 kg of fuel. Okay, by burning 1 kg of fuel. So the units are SI units. Either it is kg of steam evaporated per kg of fuel, or it is kg of steam per unit time. Okay. Now, what is this concept? Okay, what is this concept and why do we define equivalent evaporation? Okay. Now, this term equivalent evaporation has been defined to compare a boiler A with boiler B. Let us say, let me explain you this a bit. Suppose you want to compare a boiler A with boiler B. You want to compare a boiler A with boiler B. Okay. Let us say that boiler A, let us say that boiler A generates 10 kgs of steam and this generates 8 kg of steam. So which is a better boiler? Which is a better boiler? Boiler A generates 10 kg of steam and boiler B generates 8 kg of steam. Which is a better boiler? Okay, Ganesh is saying it is boiler A. Kamlesh should say it is depends on the requirement. Okay. See, suppose now I add additional information to this. Boiler A is generating 10 kg of steam at 10 bar and boiler B is generating 10 kg of steam at 100 bar. Now, which is a better boiler? So now B is better. Okay. So now let us say that boiler A and boiler B both are generating 100 bar of steam, right? And both are generating 10 kgs of steam, right? And let us say that boiler A is generating 10 kg of steam at, let us say, 380 degrees centigrade, and this is generating steam at 390 degrees centigrade. Now, which is a better boiler? Now, B is a better boiler. Okay. Now, suppose this boiler B is generating 8 kg of steam at 390 and boiler A is generating 10 kg of steam at 380. Now, which is a better boiler? So, what I mean to say is that when you want to compare the two boilers, okay, what is the point which I'm trying to make is, if you want to compare the two boilers, then we need to compare them on a common benchmark. Okay, the benchmark has to be common. Okay, you need to bring these two boilers to a common condition and then you can talk about comparing them. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to compare the two boilers. Okay, so that benchmark is given by what is called as the term equivalent evaporation. So what you do is that, what is equivalent evaporation concept? So you fix a standard boiler, okay, for comparison. Equivalent evaporation concept. This is a given boiler. This is a given boiler. What you ask is, you ask that this given boiler, how would this given boiler perform under the standard conditions? How would the given boiler perform under the standard conditions? Now, what are the standard conditions? So, given boiler is at some pressure PB. This standard boiler is always operating at 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay. The given boiler might have a feed water temperature, which is anything. Feed water temperature would be anything. Okay. But the standard boiler has to be having the feed water entering at 100 degrees centigrade. A given boiler would have steam which would be dry, which could be dry, wet, superheated, anything. Okay. The standard boiler conditions is the steam should be dry saturated dry saturated at 100 degrees centigrade. 100 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now, this is, let us say, given boiler A. And there is another given boiler B. There is a given boiler B. Okay, so this is, let us say, TF1, boiler pressure is PV1, and this temperature is TS1, right? Steam temperature is TS1, like this. TS, that is not 1. And boiler B is having the feed water temperature as TF2, the steam temperature is TS dash, let us say not 2 and 1. This is dash, this is without 1. Okay. And the boiler pressure is PB dash. Okay. And this is that. So if I want to compare now the boiler A with boiler B, okay, so what I need to do is that I need to calculate and this boiler is generating, let us say, the steam at the rate ms, and this boiler is generating the steam at the rate ms dash. Okay, so boiler A is operating at pressure PB1, PB. Feed water is entering at TFW. The steam generation rate is ms, and the steam temperature is TS. Boiler B, the feed water is entering as TFW dash. The boiler is maintained at a pressure PB dash. The steam generation rate is M dash S, and the steam temperature is TS dash. Okay. Now I want to compare a boiler A with boiler B. So what I need to do is that I need to calculate the equivalent evaporation of boiler A, and I need to calculate the equivalent evaporation of boiler B. Now how do I calculate that? It means that I need to ensure that the output of boiler, so for comparing boiler A with standard boiler, so compare to find equivalent evaporation, I compare the boiler A with a standard boiler. Okay, compare the output. Now, what is the output of boiler A? The output of boiler A is ms, right? HS minus HFW, right? What is the output of the standard boiler? The output of the standard boiler is ME into Hg minus HFW at 100 degrees centigrade. How much is this value? Tell me from the steam tables. How much is this value from the steam table? See, Hg minus Hf means HFG. HFG at 100. How much is that HFG at 100 degrees centigrade? Let me see. So HFG at 100 degrees centigrade is 2257, right? Yes or no? Yeah, Kunal is right. 2257. Kamlesh Kunal is right. So now my formula, look at this formula now. The formula for equivalent evaporation of A becomes ms hs minus hw upon 2257. And how do I calculate the equivalent evaporation of B? Boiler B, m dash s hs dash minus hw dash upon 2257 upon 2257. Is this clear, the concept of equivalent evaporation, Ganesh? Whether the concept of equivalent evaporation is clear? Okay, for Kamlesh it is clear. Ganesh has understood. The girls, whether you understood, you want me to repeat this? Rushali has understood. Chaitali has understood. So what is equivalent evaporation? Equivalent evaporation is the equivalent, it is the equivalent rate, okay, at which a boiler would generate steam when the boiler is made to operate at a standard conditions. What are the standard conditions? The standard condition means that boiler, how much that boiler would generate steam when the boiler is made to operate at 1 atmospheric pressure, when the feed water entering that boiler is at 100 degrees centigrade, and that boiler generates dry saturated steam. Okay, how much steam would the boiler generate under equivalent conditions? What are those equivalent conditions? The equivalent conditions or standard conditions are: the boiler is made to operate at 1 atmospheric pressure, the feed water entering the boiler is at 100 degrees centigrade, the steam which is generated by the boiler is dry saturated steam at 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, in that case, how much would be the steam generation rate of that boiler? So if you can figure out that, then whichever is more, suppose in this case, if you compare MEA and MEB, the equivalent evaporation of A and B, then that value would tell us the boiler which is having a higher value of ME, the equivalent evaporation, is a better boiler. So boiler equivalent evaporation of boiler helps you compare the two boilers and tell you which boiler is a better boiler when you want to bring them on a common benchmarking scale. Okay, is this clear? Okay, I hope it is clear to you. And now there is last term which is called as factor of evaporation. It is simply just interchanging of the terms. Factor of evaporation. So let me just write down that expression and you will follow what is it. Okay, so equivalent evaporation expression, let me write down again. Equivalent evaporation is what? Equivalent evaporation is steam generation rate, enthalpy of output steam minus enthalpy of feed water upon 2257. This is called as equivalent evaporation. And factor of evaporation is, you will understand what it is. Factor of evaporation is Fe, which is H of steam minus H of feed water upon 2257. Okay, that's it. I don't feel that this requires any explanation. Just two ways of expressing the same idea. It is two ways of expressing the same idea. Okay. Now tell me whether all of you have followed these three concepts: boiler efficiency, the equivalent evaporation, and factor of evaporation. Whether this is followed? If you have followed, say yes. I want the others to answer. The usual students, they always say yes, but I want some other names coming from you. So Kamlesh, Akanksha, Saurabh, all are saying that they are following Chaitali, Neha. Akanksha wants me to having greater equivalent evaporation or less. We should have greater equivalent evaporation, obviously, Ganesh. You want previous slide, Akanksha. Okay, let me show you the previous slide. Okay, is this okay, Akanksha? See, everything is in the book, nothing to worry about. I just try to concentrate on what has been discussed. Okay. See, even if you don't understand the concepts, passing is not difficult. See, concepts, if you understand, then you will enjoy it. But if you don't want to understand the concept, if you are lazy and if you don't want to understand anything, then you can simply by heart the formulas and solve the problems, and you can get through the exams. So that is altogether a different thing. Attempting the exam, scoring good marks in the exams, that is a different skill. Okay, but if you want to thoroughly enjoy the concepts of thermodynamics, then you need to understand it from the first principles. That is what is my attempt when I'm spending so much time on these concepts. Okay, else I can simply give you the formulas. This is formula 1, formula 2, formula 3. Substitute the values, get the answers. That's it. Okay. So the numericals, when you are given, you are asked to find boiler efficiency, factor of evaporation, and equivalent evaporation. And what you need to do is that simply find out the enthalpy values from the steam tables, substitute those in the formulas, get the answer, use your calculators, get the answers. That's it. It's that simple. Okay, from the examination perspective. Okay, so thank you very much for being online. I see that there is a waning interest because it is not compulsory. Very few students they join. Around 80 students had enrolled today. But those who feel interested, those who feel that it is fun, so they are joining, and I'm happy about it. So thanks for being online. Have a good day. Okay. Tomorrow you might have the last lecture on thermodynamics. Okay, and as I had already announced, there would be a MCQ test, which is not the university test. Okay, it is the test which is performed by the which would be conducted by the college in order to grade you and in order to decide the internal marks. Okay, so whenever the decision about the of the university is taken about the exam, how is the exam to be conducted, we will let you know. So don't worry about that. What you need to worry is not about the test, but about studying the concepts and practicing a lot and getting your concepts clear. Okay. So thanks for being online. Have a good day. Bye.